Hi, welcome to the 1 Liter Podcast. You will watch us drinking 1 liters of beer whilst talking about shies. Please like and subscribe. Welcome to the 1 Liter.
Prost.
Prost. Welcome to it. The 1 Liter Podcast. Everybody. That's been a while. But we are loving the sangria, right?
We are. Look at that.
Back on that sangria.
Philip brought us the fucking taste. The taste sensation with the raspberry. Let's get down to business.
To defeat the Huns.
Phil, what do we talk about today?
Well, we were just talking about meditation. And then we thought, hey, hang on a second. Let's start the show here.
Yep.
And then talk about the meditations.
Should I go over what I was talking about before, or should we just move on?
Yeah. So you've started doing some more meditations lately, which is the Joe Dispenza meditations.
Yeah, blessing of the energy centers, which I find is amazing.
I've literally only done that one run through.
With me that time?
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
That's real good, yeah.
I'd say if you did it every day, which is the duration's about an hour, if you did that every day for 2 weeks, you don't have to do it Saturdays and Sundays, but I always find time for it. You do that for 2 weeks straight, you're glowing at that point.
Yeah, you'd be creamed.
But then
so calming for the mind too.
For sure.
For the busy mind.
You do reach a precipice at some point where you're like, I'm feeling great. Maybe today I don't need to do it. And then that's when you spiral downhill. So it's always good to keep on top of this.
I still felt fine when I didn't do it yesterday.
Yeah.
I'll feel fine today.
The problem is with Joe Dispenza's blessing of the energy setters in particular is that it goes for an hour. So it's a long time, and it's just like,
You can't just do a quick meditation.
No.
Quickly get it in.
But if you get through that hour, it's great, One thing I will say is that I imagine when I do meditation, no matter what kind of state of mind I'm in, I always feel good there. It's like the safest space I've ever been in. It's almost like, imagine you can just jump into a cube, and in that cube, you've got no fear, no anxiety. It's like happiness. It's like a calming cube. That's how I feel when I do meditations, right? Imagine if it was possible that if you meditated, if you're an experienced meditator and you did it every day to the point where you had almost reached your own version of enlightenment, where nothing bothered you anymore. Like, obviously you could have woes here and there, but like if you had chopped your hand off, you're not going to be like, I feel nothing. Like, you're obviously going to be like, oh, but then you're not going to sit there and
you'd be fucking traumatized.
Yeah, you're not going to sit there and dwell over it. You'd be like, I lost my hand, but I've got another one. It's fine. Imagine just being calm.
Imagine being that zen.
Yeah, imagine if you had a catastrophic accident where like some of your organs were punctured. Like, in Signs, where the wife, she's pinned against the lamppost in the car, and the only thing keeping her lower half connected. Imagine being like that, and your people and your family talking to you, and you're just like, guys, I'm okay. I love you all. I'm good. I'm ready for this. That's for me, as ridiculous as this sounds, and for those listening as well. When I meditate, I feel that good. So it's definitely something not to ignore.
Do you know that an interesting thing from a book called Happier? Real interesting. When they do studies on people's happiness level, so they like do surveys and they're like, how happy are you? But with like certain questions, how happy they are and content they are with their life. When they look at people that have had like traumatic accidents where they're like paraplegic or like from the hips down, can't walk anymore kind of thing, they find that people that are really happy before the accident, they're back to similar happiness levels like 6 to 12 months after the accident. So they've just got that mindset where they're just like, no, I'm happy with my life. And then they manage to cope with that traumatic experience, whereas other people that were already unhappy are going to be miserable after as well.
And that wasn't
interesting.
Yeah.
Because you would think if you lost the mobility of your legs,
your whole life
would become
over.
miserable. But it's apparently if you have just got a happy mindset in general.
So this wasn't related to meditation. This was just optimistic people.
No, but this is what I just picked up a thing that you said there, where if you had that sort of traumatic experience,
But you were
It's
positive
crazy.
already.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
crazy if you can put yourself in that sort of mindset and then you can deal with traumatic experiences
Mm,
and just still be fine.
mm.
Wouldn't that be a state to be in?
Yeah. We just deserve to be happy, man. Like everyone deserves to be happy. And I hate saying statements like that because people always go, "Did Hitler deserve to be happy? Does child molesters deserve to be happy?" That's not what I mean. You know what I mean.
Mm.
Let's just generalize this for a moment. We got enough shit going on in our lives. We deserve to be happy. And I'm thinking this. I'm thinking if all it takes for me is an hour a day to make me more positive, and I'll probably live longer because I'm more positive, then I should not be complaining about an hour.
Let
Right?
alone the physical shit that we were saying, like the
Yeah.
tests that they've done, how you literally physically changing your cells
Mm.
by meditating. And it's funny because you're literally just learning, basically just learning to focus your mind on your internal self, basically.
Physiology, yeah. And
And
somehow that
making,
has an effect on our being, on our cells on a molecular level.
well, I
So
feel like it all ties into like similar to like the whole subconscious thing. You're literally programming your subconscious, and your subconscious is what runs your body, basically,
yeah,
and your life.
we think we're in control. No. Our
Nah,
subconscious is
my little front brain. That's just our fucking what's it? What is it?
survival, really. The
Well, it's just our
neocortex.
yeah, but it's just our interpretation of the
Mm,
world. That's just our processor. We're
mm.
just like, this is what I'm seeing. I'm
Mm.
looking at a table.
Yeah, true.
It's just our processor, and the subconscious mind is just like the one that's making everything happen.
Did you ever see the Men in Black films?
No,
So there's Men in Black 2, where so in the first movie, Will Smith is like a street cop.
I think I've seen the first one. Yeah,
He's
in
got
his
something
Porsche.
about him, and Tommy Lee Jones is like an experienced Men in Black agent, Agent K, and he recruits Agent J, which is Will Smith. And at the end of it, uh, he's like, "You're taking over, Slick." He calls Will Smith Slick. He's like, "You're taking over. I want to retire and enjoy my life." So he does, and they mind wipe him. And at the start of the second film, Will Smith's like, "Oh, there's a specific alien catastrophe that's going on. The only person who knows anything about this is Tommy Lee Jones, K. So we need to unwipe his mind and bring him
Unwipe.
back."
Yeah, because it's all still in there. You just can't
Yeah.
access it, right? Is
Yeah.
that the whole premise of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he goes and finds Tommy Lee Jones working at a post office, and it's like real mundane. But Tommy Lee Jones is happy, and he's just like, "Yo, you're an agent. Aliens exist." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Come with me." And he goes into the back room of the post office, and it's just like three dudes working in there. And he's like, "What?" And then Will Smith's like, "Boo, boo, boo," does this weird thing, and the guy's like, and he's like speaking an alien language, and then one dude pops his fucking top off, and it's an extra alien. But the thing I'm trying to allude to is there's like a machine that's like shooting letters into pigeonholes.
Oh, sick.
And he thinks it's a machine, and then Will Smith opens it, and it's like this three-armed alien dude with a cigarette in his mouth going, "Thuk, thuk, 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 thuk." And I imagine that's
I
what our
definitely haven't seen this film.
yeah, I'll have to show you that scene, but that's what I imagine our subconscious brain is like. It's like a fucking six-armed alien shooting envelopes into our frontal lobe, giving us shit to do and to contemplate,
Yeah.
you know?
And then all our sensory things that we've created, we're like, oh, we've built little cameras on the fucking front of our head.
Yeah.
And then our
Three-dimensional.
front mind just fucking interprets it all.
Is it we see in 3D or 2D? 2D.
No, we're seeing in 3D.
We
Because we've
3D.
got two eyes. Yeah, you're seeing in perspective from two angles.
Right. It's the sangria, I guess.
But it's fucking crazy what our brains do. Like when I was learning about like camera lenses and shit, because you're like, when you're up close, you've got a camera up close, everything's like distorted, right? You hold a camera here, like for a selfie, you look like a fucking idiot. You know, your nose is huge and your head's squished because of the perspective.
Mm.
But our brains just fucking process that. They're just like, oh no, I know what this looks like. It's a human face. And then we just fucking have a different interpretation of it. We're not even seeing objective reality.
Mm.
We're just seeing our interpretation of it.
Mm. Don't humans see more shades of green than like anything else?
Yeah.
We can, because obviously we're from the forest and stuff like that. And so many predators. Imagine like the Amazon jungle. There's so many predators in the jungle that we needed to see the tiniest shape that is a stripe of a leopard,
Hmm.
or the tiniest. I know certain anacondas are this width, and they have this stripe and that stripe. Like, you just can't beat us, bro.
What the fuck, man? Like, but even just the animal world,
Mm,
everything's just like evolved in certain ways to like make sure its species survives, but it also has like a place where like, oh, I'm a zebra, I can blend into my herd, but I'm also gonna get eaten by a lion because otherwise the lion can't survive. It's
Yeah.
just like built this fucking weird ecosystem. Where like, well, this one here gets just farmed. They're gonna have a life, but they're gonna get eaten.
Mm.
Very strange.
And then these ones are like the true predator prey. Keep our friends close, but our enemies closer. And we want to put them and observe them and study them in a zoo. You know, it's just like
Weird.
we are. I watched a film recently with Adam Driver. You know Adam Driver? Traitor. He played Kylo Ren in the new Star Wars.
Most likely.
Uh,
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phil hasn't watched Star Wars, which is fun. He was in a film called 64, and I watched it recently. And 65 or 64, one of the two. It was an interesting concept. So his daughter's dying. It's like sci-fi. So they're humans from another planet, and his daughter's dying, and then she dies. He's like an explorer. And at the start of the film, he's going out to try to find a cure for his daughter. But later on in the film, you find out she was already dead. So you don't know why he was exploring. I think he was just
Oh.
trying to get away, I guess.
Mm.
He was on a Voyager ship, and everyone was in cryo sleep. And I think he was like the skeleton crew guy running the ship while everyone's sleeping
Yeah.
in cryo. And then like they come across like an asteroid belt, and then the ship gets penetrated by an asteroid. Critical failure. Crash landing in the nearest planet. They land on this random planet. Dinosaurs everywhere.
Oh, shit.
Everyone's dead bar him and a little girl who survived in her pod. You later on find out that this is Earth during the prehistoric era.
Yeah, during the dinosaur era.
Yeah. So, and it's because when you watch it, you're like, dinosaurs interesting. And you're like, this kind of looks like prehistoric Earth, swamps and
Mm.
dense forests and shit. So it was a very interesting concept. And the coolest part about it was they're on the island, they're on the planet Earth basically for like 10, 12, 15 days or something. And right at the end of the film is just before the meteors come and destroy the dinosaurs. So he has
Oh,
to get this girl
shit.
off the planet, and you see the meteor coming.
Oh, shit.
So-
That's a cool concept.
Very cool concept. Yeah.
Dude, I had a speaking of prehistoric Earth.
Why is that funny to me?
Speaking of prehistoric Earth.
Dinosaur shaped shit.
No, I actually had a Phil's fun fact given to me by my sister's boyfriend Nick, and he gave me this fact. I was like, "Oh, that's very interesting. I'm going to use that on my podcast." And then he rings me a week later. He's like, "You won't believe it. Post Malone was just on Joe Rogan, and they mentioned this exact fact that I spat out."
I saw
Which
that
is-
episode. It was a good one.
Yeah, the second one. He's been on there twice apparently.
Yeah, this newest one where he talks about like
Yeah.
his fans think he's an addict because he lost weight and things like that.
Yeah.
He's a cool guy. I could tell Joe was a bit like Post Malone was really easy to get along with, but I could tell Joe was like up here and Post Malone was a bit down there, and his pursuit of weird knowledge, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways, go on.
But that's the episode where they're talking about like AI is going to be able to just make a song for you with an artist's voice. So you could
Yeah.
be like, let's say you went through a breakup and you're like, I like Post Malone songs, so make me a Post Malone song about my breakup. And then you just have a custom song that's sad and Post Malone's voice like, "I fall apart."
Mm.
But like you could
Art's
tell
dying,
it,
dude.
you could tell it to say your name, but not really, because
I-
you're still gonna need the unique voices that people like or the unique style. I think it's just gonna change shit.
What happens if someone generates all the best artists in the world and then creates a voice out of all these artists that all
Oh.
sound the same, and then someone buys the rights to this AI, and then they promote it as like this like 3D women, screaming girls go to see this like
Just
hologram,
like we're back in the
a hologram,
Beatles, yeah.
and
Back
it's
in
not
the
even
Beatles,
real.
and they're just like, ah!
Dude, and then we're worshipping false idols that don't exist.
I don't know. I'm interested. Like bring
I'm
it
interested too.
Bring it on.
I'm interested. I like what we discussed. I like the idea of going home and being like, hey Google, I want to watch Die Hard with Bruce Willis, but make me Bruce Willis and make all the characters
Make Phil Hans Gruber.
make my best friend Hans Gruber. Also, make everyone have giant noses and giraffe necks.
Brilliant.
Right?
Brilliant film.
Dude, it's Wall-E. We're gonna end up like those fat people in those floating chairs.
Yeah.
And then, do you know what would be cool?
Wall-E. Yeah, I know the one, yeah.
And I can see it now. So everyone's at home, strapped in, creating their own realities, their own fantasies, and they're all living happy. And then there's like an underground. People are like, where are you going tonight? I'm going to this underground theater show. Theater? People still do that?
Oh,
You
yeah.
want to come?
But see, it'll still survive.
No,
I
it
reckon.
won't. It won't.
It will.
It won't.
All right, let me bring this fact up now because I've cliffhangered everyone.
Mhm.
So, did you know that sharks have been around on Earth for longer than trees?
Yep.
Yeah, you did know that?
Yeah.
I was
Joe
like,
brought
fuck,
that up.
that's cool. And yeah, Joe brought it up. And so now I just look like I'm copying off Joe Rogan.
So the seas, I thought majority of Earth's seas would have boiled when the meteors hit, right? So there would have been big megs and all those big sharks or whatever swimming around. Maybe creatures started going up on land, or the megs were eating all of the prey. So everything was smaller. So they have obviously had to shrink because they weren't able to feed themselves utterly. And so everything downsized, right? But sharks, the great white shark, for instance, it's never had to evolve.
Yeah. It's fucking been like, yeah, I'm good. Even now, it's just like, oh, look, a British man swimming in Sydney. Bam. R.I.P.
R.I.P., dude.
That was fucked up.
Never would I swim in open ocean like that.
Yeah. There's people that commented on it that were like, he shouldn't have been swimming. Like, there was all these signs that you shouldn't have been swimming at that time. Yeah.
They're actually like physical signs.
Because there was like fishermen fishing there specifically because there was like a bunch of fish there. And if there is XYZ fish there, then there's probably going to be sharks there feeding. So that's like the shit that you can read if you know what to look for. And he was just like, no, I'm doing it. And then literally got eaten. Pretty sure it's been a long, long time, even in all of Australia, that someone's been properly like eaten. Like it's always like a bitten leg and then sometimes they perish because they bleed out. But like he was
devoured, dude.
Yeah,
and it was horrendous. I saw a video maybe a month ago of a guy in was it Saudi Arabia who got eaten by a shark and someone was filming
in
it?
Saudi.
Yeah, or one of those countries, yeah. Or like maybe
Oh, actually I heard about this. Oh no,
it's a Russian guy.
In Egypt.
Egypt.
And I was like, what the fuck?
He was a Russian
sharks
guy.
in Egypt?
Yeah.
I had no fucking idea. And then someone was telling me that it's actually like one of the nicest places you can go like snorkeling and scuba diving.
True.
It's like crystal clear, like better than the our one, Great Barrier Reef.
True.
In Egypt, I was like, what? I just picture like deserts and rocks and pyramids.
Fucking crocodiles, yeah.
Oh yeah, crocs.
The Nile, right?
In the Nile.
But I
denial.
saw footage of it. It was beautiful. It was like this. It was like dusk when the sun was going down, and it's almost like this. The sun is basically touching the skyline, the lower line of the water. So it's just yellow. All you see is just yellow, and the water was black, and it was just yellowness, and you just see him, and then you see the fin. And then boom, he goes down, then comes back up, bit of splashing fin, boom, comes down. He's still like, he's getting bitten, but he's still trying to like, all right, it's hit me. Maybe if I just keep paddling back to the water. And
oh god,
the footage cut out before you could see anything else. But like, what a horrendous way to go.
Yeah. That sucks.
Rest in peace, Russian dude.
Dude, I had this thought the other day about like, which I have no idea about, so we're just going to be speculating on here. This is the podcast for speculation and
It's
coming up with making shit up. Food for thought, right? That's what we said the other time. Food for thought here. Voodoo. Like voodoo dolls and shit.
Like the bayous and shit.
Like who, how, why, what? So like a voodoo doll's an actual thing? Was there people that... Did they literally tap into like the spirit world, or was it all just a fucking mind fuck somehow?
I think it comes from Haiti. I think the Haitians were a lot of the Haitians. I could be wrong. I don't really know too much about Haiti itself, but I know a lot. I know I've read a bit about Louisiana, like the bayous and stuff in the South America, like America's
Louisiana.
South. Like that's where like Louisiana's are named. It's front name. It's like a French province.
Is that where like Theo Von's from or something?
No, Theo Von's from St. Louis, but Louisiana is like is it Louisiana or where's a streetcar named Desire?
I don't know. I'm pretty bad with like being able to locate places in the United States.
Mm. But because the French helped the Americans against the English when they got their independence, and there was a big French presence in Canada as well. That's where you got names like St. Louis, and Louisiana and stuff. But you got the bayous. That's where it's just like. Did you ever see Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you remember when Jack and stuff are rowing down those like swampy things and Jack Calypso, they find Calypso
Yeah.
and she's like, and they find Captain Barbosa and he comes down the stairs. That's like the bayous.
And he's
Louise.
supposed to be dead and
Yeah.
he's just alive again.
Yeah.
That's like the most rogue character in that whole
Captain
series.
Barbosa was dope, dude.
He's just like, yo, what's up?
Yeah.
I've never died.
yeah. Where you from, Jack?
But in the first one, he's like, I feel cold. I feel cold.
Yeah.
And then he dies, and you're like, yes, he's dead. And the next minute, he's like,
He's
hey,
dead.
I'm never dead.
Yeah.
And hey, I'm actually a good guy.
Yeah. You better start
They
believing
just, had
in
to,
ghost
they just had to
stories.
evolve that character hard because they were just
Mm.
like, nah, we want him in there. We want him in there.
Yeah. Jeffrey Rush is cool. So I know about a lot of Haitians lived in Louisiana on the bayous and stuff. And I heard about voodoo, like American kind of voodoo. And there was the voodoo dolls and stuff. But I did, so it's funny, when I was in a band, my old band, Dempsey, I was unemployed at the time and I was sitting there and I was like, I never have good lyrics, man. What am I even writing about? And I always watch Nat Geo and like History Channel and shit. And it was like 10 a.m. in the morning and I'm watching History Channel and it was,
And I hadn't been asleep.
yeah, I was a huge stoner back then too. This is like maybe like 2011 or 12.
Mm.
And History Channel came on about like Haitian voodoo and shit. And I started writing lyrics to a song that we actually recorded. I think the song was called The Serpent. It's kind of like the serpent eating itself. There's like one serpent
Have you
in
showed me this song?
out,
I
maybe,
think you have.
but it was called like Dimbala Weedu, the serpent god, and that's who they
Oh, God.
worshipped. And it was just like a lot of blood rituals and sacrifices and stuff. Sons of Samdi, all that crazy shit. But I've gone off on a tangent here.
You're just like,
no,
it's bringing back memories,
I'm thinking if I keep talking about it, I'm going to memorize it, but I've lost it. But yeah, dude, I think, well, we don't know, right? We don't know. Like placebo effect has seemed to be
placebo,
that's
is
been
it
a
all just
proven
like
thing.
hearsay storytelling shit?
No,
or-
placebos. I mean, they've got enough documented proof that placebo does play a role in our
Fucking
physiology.
hectic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like, there's enough crazy history about mothers when their children are being crushed by a car can just lift it, superhuman strength. Just
Yeah.
so weird shit. So if someone says, if you take someone's teeth and hair and blood and sacrifice something and pray to something and do something, chances are that person's going to wake up with cockroaches crawling out of their mouth. You never know, right?
Yeah. Or like even shit. Like recently I saw someone talking about this experiment they did with rabbits, where they were feeding them like poisonous shit and they had split them into two groups. And then just one of the groups of rabbits got really sick from it and the other group didn't. And they're like, what the fuck's going on here? Because they had two different people feeding them. Apparently one guy was just throwing the
abusive?
food in there and the other guy was like picking the rabbits up and petting them and like loving them and shit.
True.
And they were like, oh, this is great. And then feeding them. And they were like associating that with a really positive experience. And that shit just made them be like, nah, we're not susceptible to this poison. Puh.
Yeah.
They were just
Wow.
like, we're better than this.
There was that,
Placebo.
Plus, there was that placebo effect I told you on one of our podcasts where they got a bunch of brothers, maybe even twins, like a bunch of these kids, and they had regular plants that wasn't poison ivy, and they told the kids this is poison ivy and rubbed it on their arm,
Yes.
and they have reactions to it. And then they did rub poison ivy on, and they said it wasn't poison ivy, and they didn't have reactions to it.
And they were just like, nah, this is sweet. We're good here.
It's like the subconscious mind's like, we got to react. this is bad,
Yeah, something bad's been rubbed on us. We know it because our frontal brain has told us it's bad.
Dude.
See, we say like the subconscious runs everything. Soz. Joel's choking on raspberries.
I think I was actually. You think you'd cough and it'd go away, but it's still niggling. A guy at work
Are you
told me
okay,
about.
Joel? Are you crying? What's
Are
going on?
you okay? Days
Oh,
coming
that's
up
coming
on the 14th. I think.
Thursday, yeah.
A guy at work told me about a show that's on Apple TV. My roommate has this cool. It's like a hard drive, and some guy from the UK just like adds everything on there. So I've got like movies that are still in cinema, high def, like TV shows that are out or have been out, live sporting events, all that stuff. So it's great. So I've been catching up on like 64 or 5, whatever that Adam Driver film was. It was in there. And I watched the new Fast and the Furious.
Oh, how was that? I haven't watched them since like number 6 or 7 or something.
Yeah, I haven't even seen the last one with Paul Walker in it. Last one I saw, they're on like the runway with the airplane.
Oh, that was so stupid.
So stupid. I think
that
after
runway
that
was like the longest runway in the history of runways in the world.
Tokyo Drift was always the best though. But
I don't know. I never thought that.
I liked it.
It was different. It was probably a better production value than the first 2 because they were just so cheesy.
Yeah.
I said, forget about it, I
just thought it was cool because like it was around that time. It was like I was maybe like second year high school, and I was like, it's just good vibes in high school.
Everyone just wanted to drift. Everyone just wanted Jap cars. And they're like, I need a Nissan, man.
Yeah.
How do you say it?
Skyline.
How do you say Nissan? Because Nissan is how we say it in Australia, right?
Is it Nissan?
I don't know. Is it Nissan? I'm assuming it's Nissan if you're saying it in Japanese.
You can comment on this video on Spotify. You can add it in the comments. So, how do you guys say Nissan or Nissan? Let us know.
Nissan, Mitsubishi.
Do you say Hyundai or Hyundai? Hyundai.
I worked for Hyundai for quite a few years, and that's how they taught us to say it. Hyundai. But I don't know. It could be Hyundai.
Because it's Japanese. Hyundai.
No, it's Korean.
Korean. Sorry, Korean.
Yeah. But they said I can't remember the first bit of, but I think it's here and then same as Sunday. Hyundai. That's how they said to say it.
I like that. That's cool.
Instead of Hyundai. I bought a Hyundai XL.
It was all right.
Remember the XL? Do you remember the XL, the Hyundai XL?
I'm not into cars,
Oh, yeah. No, but it was like basic, bitch. Like it was like...
If you pointed out, I'd be like, I've seen that one on the roads before.
I think they're pretty much gone now. I haven't seen one in probably years. But they just like flooded the market with that. And then they got the Hyundai Getz. You definitely know the Getz, that little fucking square-looking hatchback thing.
Yeah, I know the Getz, yeah.
So then they just pumped that out. And then they did the i30. And now they're just like a big player in the market.
True.
They really like dominated. And they were crap cars for a while. And then they just became like better and better. And now they're actually decent. Now they're actually like upmarket, like not upmarket, but they're expensive. They're not cheap anymore.
True.
So they really made themselves a name within like 10 years, which is quite huge for a car company that's like a
10
lower
years.
End.
Wow.
Yeah.
10 years, man. That's a big leap. Usually take you like 25, 30 years to make your name for yourself, right?
You know that Tesla is one of 2 car companies, American car companies, that have survived. One of 2. There's only 2 car companies that are still in existence that are
Is
American.
Ford one of
American,
them?
Yep.
Yeah.
Ford and Tesla.
I have a question. Maybe you'll be able to answer this because originally back in the day, Detroit was like the best place for like Ford and all these other cars. It was like a huge steel city boom. And then they went bust and moved. And Detroit became this like wasteland fucking house, field, house, abandoned house, field. Do you know anything about that history?
No.
Oh, we'll Google it and we'll talk about it next time. But I'll just get back to what my friend at work told me on Apple TV. There's a show called For All Humanity. Or is it For All America or something? For All Humanity, I think. I had it written on my wrist yesterday. Maybe it's... yeah. Do you know you scrub?
That was so weird.
Yeah.
You're like, let me just check my...
for the
Let me just check my implant.
for all mankind. Yeah,
For all
yeah,
mankind.
click, click. And
Sure.
it's an interesting. So I only got through maybe 35, 40 minutes of the first episode. It's like an hour episode, the first one. 3 seasons. I was like, oh, dude, you know, if someone says watch a show and it's maybe
3
one season,
season.
I know, but
9.
it's interesting. The premise is the Russians landed on the moon before the Americans. And so the first
I've heard
episode,
this,
the
yeah.
first episode, all the main characters are sitting in the bar and everyone around America's watching and they're like, and the American reporter's like, here it is. We're getting the footage now. They're on the moon. Nobody mentions Russians yet. They just mentioned they're on the moon. They're stepping on the moon now. It's like, and you got the black and white grainy footage from the moon, and the guy just steps down, steps over, and he's like, and he's like, there he is. Yumayev Slavenius is the first to land on the moon, and then he stands there and he's got the USSR hammer and sickle flag, and all the main characters are like seething, and everyone in the bar is like just seething, right? And
Then
then
it would have changed history if that actually happened. I'm guessing that's what the whole show's about. is
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
because the Russians were the first in space, but they weren't the
Right.
first on the moon. So the guy goes home. He's pissed off, and then he goes in because he works for NASA, right? He's an astronaut, and he goes in there, and the main guy's like, we're not going back to work yet. I want you guys to take the weekend off. I want you to be angry because it's fucked us up. Buzz and Lance Armstrong, Neil Armstrong and all them, blah, blah, blah. He mentions them, but you don't actually see them in it. They're not, those guys aren't the main characters. It's like other characters.
Is
but
it Lance or Neil?
Neil Armstrong.
Neil. Which
Lance
one's
Armstrong.
Lance is the doping cyclist. Yeah.
Exactly, the one testicle guy, yeah.
One testicle.
And so the guy gives them the time off. So they all these like astronauts and physicists and stuff leave the room and they're all pissed off. And then they're like, well, we might as well go to the bar. And then the main character looks at like 12 dudes down the hallway. He's like, first one, last one, they're buys. And then they all sprint out of the fucking NASA headquarters, like 60s style. Everyone's in the preppy outfits. And they've all just got Ferraris and Mustangs because they're all astronauts, like old school 60s ones. And they all get in there like racing and shit. And they all just get pissed up. And then, but I haven't even got through the first episode yet, but there's this, I've seen pictures I've just like Google imaged it and it's like them in astronaut uniforms with like M16, like Vietnam era weapons and stuff. So I'm assuming they go to space and they may have some kind of conflict with Russia. So I'm interested, dude. And I'll watch it and I'll let you know what I think.
I mean, it's interesting, like first into space, but not to a specific destination. It's similar to like, oh, fucking Jeff Bezos was the first guy to make his rocket that could land itself, but Elon was working on it earlier than him. Who got the fucking NASA contract, bro?
Elon, right?
Elon, yeah.
Because he put the time in, yeah.
Yeah, because I think he just
Do
made it.
you think Elon was pissed about that?
Oh, probably, because Bezos like actually poached a bunch of his engineers
You can't.
from SpaceX, paid them more. We're like, hey, bring that tech over here.
Mm.
But who gives a fuck? Like, the tech gets made, and I feel like that's kind of like the mindset Elon has. Like, yeah, whatever. Like, okay, you flexed, great, good on ya. But the tech's now done.
Mm.
Cool, let's use it.
Mm.
He just wants to get it done. He just wants to use that shit. Like he doesn't. I don't think he cares that it's like, hey, look, I made a Tesla. Oh no, every other manufacturer is going electric now as well. He
Mm.
probably just thinks, good, let's fucking keep it that way. Let's get it moving in that direction.
For sure. Again, I think I don't know him personally. I know you don't know him personally, but like we discussed in our last couple of podcasts, just from observations, I really think Elon would just be like, okay, you made it. Well, we've done this and this, and we're going to do better.
Maybe he uses it as a bit of fire, you know?
But
Could be.
I can't imagine Elon sitting there smashing glasses while someone's trying to calm them down. Like I think Elon's just far too composed.
He's
for that.
he's far too involved. His brain's just like.
Mm. You know what's funny? I don't even know what Jeff Bezos sounds like. Little gimp motherfucker, hey?
Apparently, he's pretty like shredded now.
Yeah, I shouldn't have called him that because I don't know the guy.
Yep.
Yeah, he's probably a nice guy for
He's
all I
probably
know.
a very nice bloke.
But
nice
yeah.
fella.
But look, back to meditations. I'll just say that it's always been a bit of like a woo-woo topic. And I know a lot of people are kind of like, oh man, I got better things to do than sit there and focus on my breathing. But the benefits that come from meditation, I think, are astounding.
And there's like proper money and studies going into this, which is
Yeah.
crazy cool. Like
Yeah.
what we were talking about before, just like a concept of imagine us just evolving as a species into these like hyper aware things where our minds can just basically heal our material bodies or
Mm.
whatever.
Imagine being stuck out in the forest somewhere. Let's say you're skydiving and huge winds blow you off way into like not your drop zone,
Mm.
and your parachute gets caught on some trees and foliage, snaps, and then you plummet maybe 20 meters down a huge tree, branch, ground. You get up, no broken bones, but you've got a gash from your nipple to the back of your fucking spine, like to your like ribs, right? So you've just got a huge gash, and you're like, focus, and you're literally focusing on your body and keeping yourself from bleeding out. Like you're literally keeping the blood in your body. You're not maybe some
I love how
experience.
elaborate you get, man.
Yeah, yeah.
It is like the detail.
I'm painting pictures, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you don't have the mental fortitude to knit it back together, your flesh, like fucking Wolverine, but you're still just like a floodgate. Like you're
Mm.
literally keeping the damn wall.
You can just control your arteries,
Yeah.
not pumping blood
Yeah.
into that specific part of your body.
And you're hiking back, and then it's kind of like that 124 hours. What was that one where the dude chops his own arm off?
127
27?
hours.
Yeah. And do you know how he comes across those people and he's like, I need help. And they were like, oh my God, we got to get this guy and give him water and stuff. Imagine it's like that. People are like, oh my God, you're bleeding out. And he's like, it's fine. I'm suppressing it, but I need meds. And these people like help you. And then like maybe a woman's with you and she's like, I'm a psychic nurse. So like the husband and the wife, the husband's leading you guys through the back to campgrounds, and she's got you in her arm. You're suppressing it, and she's like helping you. She's like mentally focusing on your wound and giving her energy into your body to help you heal as well. Isn't that? Can you imagine if we were humans?
You write films when you're coming up with like impromptu stories. It's
But
like
but
it's like
isn't
a
that-
scene. It's great.
Wouldn't that bring us back? Wouldn't that bring us closer together as human beings, as a species?
Oh, yeah, if
It
you
would be
could-
our next step. We went from hunter-gatherer. We went from climbing on trees, hunter-gatherers, communities, science, democracy, building megastructures, building an AI. Where can we go from here? Psychic creatures, right?
Yeah.
Mental creatures.
Well, I mean, some people would think it's like, oh, we've built all this technology, but now we're sort of taking a step backwards and going, why don't we focus on our internal strengths kind of thing,
absolutely.
which is some raspberry. Delicious. Which is like, some people think it's like, oh, we're taking a step backwards. But really, if we could master that the way like monks have mastered that shit, but still just be integrated in our whatever tech world we want to be in
Mm,
with all of our AI, with our custom movies,
mm,
that'd be fucking dope.
mm. Bro, the evidence is there. Like we skepticize things just because we don't. It's because if something doesn't interest me, I'm obviously, and this is a bad thing, everyone does it, I'm going to be skeptical about something. So if I hang out with someone and someone says, bro, this dude jumped off a tramp, jumped out of space for Red Bull, plummeted through high orbit, passed out, and just as he woke up, pulled the chute and survived. You remember that dude who did that?
Yeah.
If that wasn't televised and you told me that, I'd be like, nah, it never happened. You're full of shit.
Yeah.
Your X Games bullshit, right? It's the same thing. Like with monks, they can get to a state where in meditation, these Himalayan monks will go out there in the fucking blistering cold with no shirt on, no shoes on, sit there and meditate. And they've got scientists who go up there and literally have like infrared, heart rate monitors, blood pressure monitors, all that stuff. They're all hooked up. And their blood pressure stays, and their blood and heart and all that stuff stays the same. It doesn't plummet because of the cold conditions. It stays the same.
And
They're able to.
they're fucking melting the snow
Yeah.
around where they're sitting.
They're keeping
Like
their
that
internal
shit-
temperature.
It's called. I used to know the name of it when I was like looking at all the Wim Hof stuff, but it's a specific type of meditation with like the breathing and stuff.
Yeah. At what point, like, I know humans know we instinctually know how to survive by holding your breath when you plunge your head underwater. A little baby
Mm.
would know how to do that.
Mm.
If it's cold, you stand by that sparking fire thing, right?
Yeah.
If something is sharp, keep your hands away from all that stuff.
Do we know that instinctively though, or do we learn it?
We learn it. It's true, but like, how did we? At what point in evolution did we need to breathe a certain way to maximize the carbon dioxide circulating
Well, I don't
to
even know.
turn our body alkaline?
Is it even a evolving thing, like a evolutionary thing, or is it a thing where
We
we've just
stumbled
found a
across.
hack?
If
We've
it's a
just
hack,
hacked.
then Wim Hof deserves a fucking Nobel Peace
Yeah,
Prize.
dude. Oh, well, he didn't invent it. He just made it. He just made it common to. Sorry, not common. He just made the Western society aware of it by commercializing it, making it simple, making it very simple. Because that breathing technique, meditation, I think it's called turmeric breathing or so. That breathing
turmeric
technique
breathing, yeah.
is apparently very complex if you do it the way the monks do it. But he's just managed to simplify it and still
Westernize
get
it.
huge effects out of it and then
Mhm.
make it be like, hey, everyone, all you got to do is take 30 hugely deep breaths in a regular rhythm and then hold your breath on the out breath for as long as you can and then take a deep breath and hold it for 15 seconds and that's one round and you do it again. And then everyone's like, oh, that's easy. Like I'm like, you could do 3 rounds of guided Wim Hof just on YouTube. You don't even have to have the app. On YouTube, 3 rounds, it'll take you 11 minutes. And you'll feel fucking sick afterwards.
Feels so good.
And I'm still like, oh, I can't, I don't have time to do that in the mornings. You fucking idiot, man. It's 11 minutes. You got some more raspberry.
Thank
No,
you.
you got it.
People go, boo, and they get home from work
Oh,
at maybe
boo,
like
boo.
4 or 5 o'clock, right? And then they sit on their phones or watch YouTube.
4? Who's getting home from work for 4?
You finish
I
work
need a
at
new job.
you finish work at 5 or 6, and you fuck around on your phone until 10 or 11 and then go to bed. At least 11 minutes or at least 11 minutes of Wim Hof or 1 hour for a meditation, and you're just going to sit on your phone and be a lazy cunt. It's all about conditioning.
This is why I really want to either get an ice bath or I've actually signed up to this. There's a recovery place that's new. Their first one's only just opening next week at Bondi Junction. And they're going to have ice bath, sauna, something. And it's like quite affordable. So I've done like the pre-membership thing, but I need access to an ice bath, like a proper,
Not one that you have to sit in with 3 people, like
no,
by yourself.
No, but I'm also talking proper cold. I'm talking like
dude.
5 degrees or under.
My boss bought one recently, like a little portable one, but I'll have to show it to you.
Yeah, but you still gotta buy ice and shit, right? My sister's got one.
Maybe, yeah.
It's like this portable blow up one, but you gotta buy ice, put water in it.
You can get a wood one or.
But I'm talking about like I want something where I can access it immediately.
Yeah, just walk in and walk out.
It's like $7,000 to get this proper sick one. Like if I have a house with a yard, I would invest
For
because
sure.
it's like 3 minutes out of your time. It's extreme. It's gonna suck, but it's 3 minutes of putting yourself through pain and then just having so much benefit
So much
afterwards.
bliss afterwards, dude.
So much.
When you get out of that fucking cold shower in the morning and you dry off, it's just.
It's not even cold enough now.
It's not, yeah. And like you feel warm. Like I'll do that. Still going. Clean, and then maybe after a minute and a half of, I'm like, and your body just down regulates.
Minute and a half's quite long for a
and you're warm, and
cold
then
shower.
and then by the end of it, it's almost like the water starts to get hot, and it's not hypothermia. It's just like it's good.
Your skin just gets hot because your body's trying to heat itself from the inside. It's fantastic.
Turn it off, dry off, and then you dry off, and you might be brushing teeth, and you're just like, oh my god, I feel so good. It's just the endorphins go boom out the fucking wazoo.
And now imagine that, but like instead of 15-degree tap water, which is what it is when it feels cold. It's still 15 degrees. Then imagine sub 5.
Ooh. Do you know what I want to do? I've never really we all have issues, and I'm sure we can all benefit from a psychologist. Obviously,
Mm.
I've never been overly fucked to the point where I need a psychologist. For all I know, I probably need a psychologist more than anyone, but I've never felt compelled to go. However,
It's a big, like, it feels like a big step too. You're like,
Yeah.
fuck, am I like admitting that I have a problem
yeah,
here?
I don't
But
I
it's
don't need
not.
you to tell me what I already
Yeah.
know. You know,
And it's also difficult because you never know, like, finding a good one is hard too.
Mm,
Like
Yeah.
finding a good therapist. You're like, oh, am I going to sit with this person and
Yeah.
it's going to be like, oh, you are just asking me basic bitch questions.
mm.
You don't know.
I personally,
But sorry, where were you
no,
going
no,
with
no.
that?
I agree. I agree with what you said, and I personally feel, and this may not be the healthiest comment, but for men especially, and I'm sure a lot of blokes listening to this or anywhere can agree, just having a fucking beer with your mate and talking to someone who you trust and you know has your best interest at heart is all you need for the time, I guess.
Yeah.
Like me catching up with you and just chatting on the podcast or off it, I feel better going home.
I
You
mean,
know?
off the podcast, you get into deeper shit that
Of
you don't
course.
want to share with other people.
Yeah.
But like, just like as a recommendation to any blokes, just have a fake non-recorded podcast. Like, just have a proper conversation because I feel like a lot of people don't do that now.
Yeah, talk
They're
to your
either
mates.
just talking like pub banter, drinking a beer. But if
Mm,
you just have like a one-on-one or maybe a few friends that
mhm,
can have proper conversations about your shit,
mm,
it fucking does wonders.
for
Like, yeah.
sure. And what I was going to allude to is like, if anyone out there, I know this is a long shot because a lot of people are going to listen to Philip and I at this stage, but in the future, I know Philip and I are going to have a very popular podcast. So if you're listening back to this, I want you to know I like male and female, obviously, but men obviously have a higher rate of suicide. So I just want you to know, fellas and women, obviously, you are extremely valuable. Everybody has worth, and it's always darkest before the dawn. We've all been in situations where we feel like there's nothing's going to change and we're fucking trapped. But there's always, always a chance, right? There's always another solution. And what I'm considering doing, and this might help you as well, is doing the psychedelic therapy with the
That
mushrooms.
really interests me, dude. And I
Yeah.
don't know where to do it in Australia yet.
Well, I heard Australia is
But it's
probably one of the
fucking
hitting edge in
really.
getting medicinal psilocybin.
But you want to do it properly. Like
I
you
want
want
to
to
go.
do it.
I want to have maybe 3 days where I go out to somewhere like a Hunter Valley or something, and have like I think it's like maybe 2 counselors and a psychologist, or they're all psychologists, right? From what I've seen in experienced places. So you go there, you talk for weeks in advance. You go there.
Yeah, because you have to set it up.
Yeah, yeah,
I think they talk you through like what
yeah,
do you think's gonna happen? What do you
yeah,
think's gonna come up? Because it's scary shit. You're like,
yeah,
am I gonna process some shit that I
yeah,
don't want
yeah.
to talk about?
And
Like,
they talk about the doses for the psilocybin, which is mushrooms. They go, I'd only do mushrooms, obviously, and they'd say this and that, and they talk to you about it. It's a long process of just getting to where they think you need to be targeted, respectfully and obviously positively, right? And then from what I've seen in pictures and other people's experience, it's just like a beautiful view of like a forest, and you're in a cabin or something, and there's just like cushions everywhere and nice beds, and it's just so warm and loving. And you lie down, and maybe they dim the lights or they have candles, and you have 3 professionals there
mm,
who not only know how to measure medicinal narcotics, like
narcotic.
I don't know why I said narcotics. Not only do they have experience with that stuff, but they're all trained medical professionals, psychological and they just talk to you, and they talk you
And they
through it.
know how to get you out of if you're going
Trip
into a
sitters
bad
almost.
place. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're professional trip sitters.
Yeah,
But
and
they
they're
want
psychologists.
But when you're going into a dark place, they almost want you to experience that because that's what you need to process, right?
Mm.
And that's the fucking scary bit because you know you're gonna go into some fucking
yeah.
dark shit in that
Yeah,
session.
yeah, yeah.
But the other thing is like, which I find fucking awesome, is that they and this is on that show How to Change Your Mind as well, right? Have you watched that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where they talk about that
Heal, how you change your
psilocybin
mind, yep.
therapy. But they also know they have headphones at hand and they know like what type of music or sounds to play to get you out or into certain states. I'm like,
I
oh
haven't
my
s-
God, that's so fucking cool.
I haven't
Because,
seen that. That's cool.
dude, imagine like telling someone that 50 years ago that there's going to be a science where they're like, no, you need to play this specific kind of music to get your brain into this. People would say you're fucking crazy. But
So
now
sick.
there's proper scientists just being like, no, you take these fucking psilocybin mushrooms, which they
Yeah.
were like, drugs are bad, ban everything, like idiots.
Idiots.
And you
It's from
take
the
that,
earth, bro.
and then they play specific musical sounds and tonal patterns that get your brain into the right frame of mind. That's so fucking cool. Because I find that,
I'd want to sit there and cry and get into my past.
oh,
'Cause at
dude,
the
you'd
end of
wanna
it-
you'd want to fucking release.
Oh yeah, at the end of it, they'd probably give you a hug. You'd have 3 people sitting there going, "How you doing? You did really well."
Yeah, you'd be like, I did okay.
Yeah, they'd be like, "You did so well. We really liked how you brought this up. You didn't bring that up in the notes. I thought you really got somewhere." You'd just
Yeah.
be like, "Thank you, fucking thank you."
Thank God.
Yeah.
And then you just have like this relief.
And then I'd go into my room, jerk off, and then meditate, and
I
then fall
love,
asleep.
I love that you had to take it there.
Well,
I'll
I
go
have
into my
to.
room and I'll
Look.
fucking crank a load out.
Bro, I've been a bachelor for so long, and as depressing as it, I may or may not ask you to remove this later on, but I don't care
I'm
anymore.
not removing it. We
Don't
don't
remove
remove
it.
things anymore.
This
This is a raw podcast nowadays.
I envy people out there who have who relationships, because, like, you know what? Do you know what my thing is? I've got to the point now where, and this isn't me lying to myself. This isn't defeat masquerading as defiance. I know I could go out there and meet a nice woman and have relationships and stuff, but I think I'm one of those people who are just like, I'm just too ambitious, and I'm just too focused on
You-
my goals to really have time for someone. I think if I'm successful and I'm doing well and I need to officially share what I'm going through with someone else and experience and live with someone else, I think that's when I would be ready for a partner. But at this point in
I think
time,
that's good. I think
Yeah.
that's good. I think
I'm
you're
not
coming to
ashamed to-
terms with just being like, I'm good being on my own, which is how everyone should be.
I am, man.
And that a partner should just like complement that state.
Mhm.
You shouldn't be like, oh, I can only be happy if I have someone.
Mm.
That's some BS. Oh,
It's true.
raspberry.
And to those of you out there who have actually found someone who, like, everyone fights, everyone argues, but for me,
That's healthy, man.
it is healthy. But when I see people who have just a beautifully natural relationship with their partner, and despite both of you, your icks about each other, it's just you couldn't live without them. Like, I love that. And at this stage of my life, I just don't have room for that. But I'm
You
not.
need to do you.
Yeah, and I don't think at all what I'm saying those people have a weak. I'm not like a like, I'm in sales and stuff, but I'm not like I find that weakness. I need to keep moving as a shark. Nothing like that at all. It's just each to their own, right?
Each to their own.
I feel bad too because, like, and again, I'm not afraid. You don't have to delete this, but like,
We've said this. We're not deleting.
sex.
We don't delete anymore. We're comfortable with our recording time now.
Fuck it, yeah, fuck it. And maybe some men might agree with me as well. It's almost depressing because when I think about men from the past, right? Men would go, whether you're a crusader or you're a Roman or something like that, you might go on on a campaign for your country or your king or whatever for 10 or 11 years.
That's such a long time.
You come back, your 3 children are adults now,
Dude,
right?
imagine 11 years ago.
Yeah. I can't even
How old were we?
imagine.
I was 21 11 years ago.
I would have been 17? No,
No, you're old, man. Chill out.
21 or
19.
19. Sorry, fuck. Sorry. I'm bad with maths. But that's the thing. It's like, being a man, I'm infatuated with sex. Obviously, like, I can't get over sex. And I think a lot of men, we mistake love for lust.
Yeah, big time.
So when I might go on a dating app and I might take a girl out for a date, um,
You're like, I think I love this girl.
not
really?
not love, but I think
Yeah.
to myself like,
I'm
oh, she was real
infatuated.
cool. We go on 2 or 3 dates together. We have sex. We enjoy each other's company, and it's great. And we settle down, and it's like, oh, maybe eventually I'll make this woman my girlfriend. But then it's like, I don't need this.
Mm.
Like
You know,
sex is
you know
great.
the shit you want to focus on.
Yeah, exactly. And it's but I wish I found a relationship that was as seamless as my it was interwoven into my
Yeah,
normal
but that's
existence.
the thing. Like, you might just run into that while you're focusing on your own shit, and
Yeah.
that's when you know that it's like proper. You're like, oh, I can make this work as well as
Yes.
instead of like having to sacrifice other shit for it.
Bingo.
And that's the key. That's the key, everybody.
Bingo.
We can even finish it on that note if we want.
The reason why I brought this up, it's not to caress my own ego about being a bachelor. It more came back to the "Are you okay?" thing, because I think it's a big deal. And it's, again,
Oh yeah, you were
I'm
you were
not-
telling me this
Yeah.
off podcast.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you were trying to be like, I'm gonna be a bachelor. Blah, 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 blah. It was literally like you were like, because you've always been someone that's like, I would love to have a good relationship, but at the same time you're battling with like, do I want to put in effort to find someone, which is a fucking like, it's a shit task if you're trying to say, I want to find a female to partner with. If you can just come to
But if
terms
it's
with,
just for
I'm
sex,
okay.
it's not a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. And if you can
Mm.
just say, I'm okay by myself, focusing on my own shit
Mm,
and doing my own thing,
mm. I don't feel
Then it's-
lonely. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not lonely. And
I love my own space, dude.
totally.
I fucking love being by myself. I'm just like,
And that's why I feel, yeah.
zen.
That's why I feel bad for women as well, especially some of the women I've been on dating apps with recently. Like, I dated a couple, and it's just like I could see in their eyes they really want it, and I don't ever want to hurt another woman by letting them down, by leading them on.
Mm.
But it's just like, I originally mistaked deep interest for just lust.
Yeah.
I was just missing.
Well, it's fucking hard, isn't it?
I was just missing
'Cause
physical touch.
we have a physical drive.
We do.
And I mean, women have that to an extent, but nowhere near
Nowhere
to the
near as
male
us.
testosterone
Yeah.
drive.
Yeah.
Which it infatuates you, and then you're like, oh my God, what is this?
Mm,
And then you realize it's just your fucking man drive
mm.
fucking your shit up.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I want to
man drive.
I just want to bring this around for a final conclusion.
circle.
So for Are You Okay? This is more focused at the men because obviously our demographic and on our podcast is more male related. This is obviously for women as well. Women go through so much fucking shit, and we're not.
I feel like women are stronger than men mentally. That's a big statement.
It is a big statement, but I'd say
I feel like they can cope with shit better than we can.
I feel like women contemplate more things than us. They consider more things than us, and certainly their emotions
They get more emotional up front.
Their emotions are far more heightened than
They get
us.
more emotional up front, but then they feel it and they process it and it's done.
Yeah.
And then they move on.
We're like a slow burn emotion.
We're just like, no, I'm tough.
Yeah.
And then like,
dude, I don't know if I think a big part of our society plays a role in how much emotions we allow ourselves to feel,
Oh,
but
big
also
time.
evolutionary, women are just far more inclined to feel more. But what I'm saying is, I brought up the topic of relationships because men, anyone who's listening and you're just not feeling yourself, again, out of all the sperm that could have made it to the egg, no, this isn't even a joke. Of all the sperm that could have made it to the egg, you can laugh. You were the winner, right? So you had the opportunity to experience this existence. We weren't alive for the trillions and gazillions of years that our planet has existed, or species all over the universe has existed. We have the benefit of living in this tiny space of time. So if you can imagine you're in this box and you can't get out of this fucking box in your existence, maybe it's work-related, relationship, your family, you've been abused, this or that, there is always positivity to find on this planet and in this existence. And I don't know what it is. and I'm not going to claim that I know all the answers, but you need to find that happiness for yourself, and taking your own life is not the fucking answer. And especially when it comes to relationships, you need to respect yourself. Buddha says, I'm not a Buddhist, but Buddha says you must love yourself before you love others. So you need to respect yourself. If you have been fucked over by a loved one, or especially a spouse, whether you've been cheated on, you've been led on, you've gone on a date and spent all this money on a woman who's just fucked you over, it is not the end, and this isn't a reflection of who you are as a person, because you are clearly better than this person, all right? Do not give up on yourself. Love yourself, respect yourself, and drink 1 fucking liter, baby. Prost.
Prost.